Well, my speech here isn't going to be quite as formal. I just jotted down a few things, but I think most of you have known Dad. I'm Tim Elwell, by the way, and Walter's my dad, and my brother's here too, Andy, and Alex, his kid. But I thought I'd give you, since everybody knows him, kind of the latter part of his life for the most part, I'd give you guys a little insight into him prior to that. I won't go all the way back to when I first met him because I don't remember that much. I was a little baby. But my brother was born in Chicago. In a way, my dad technically has 2 PhDs. He went to University of Chicago, and my brother was born there. And due to a kind of a squabble between a couple of professors, his PhD was getting delayed. So he couldn't handle that, so he just said, I'll start over. So he just went to Edinburgh, which is where he got his PhD. Later, Chicago offered to give him his rightful second PhD, but it meant less to him at that point. But we would go, in Edinburgh, we were just kids. We'd hike the Pentland Hills, and remember when he would cut up the whitefish, and so we had a great time in Edinburgh. Then we moved back to Mississippi, and my dad taught at Belhaven College, and he was kind of a favorite of the students, and from there he decided to go to Wheaton, and like half of Belhaven came with him, and ended up becoming theology majors of all things in Wheaton. But he made an immediate impact at Wheaton. He was, among other things, he was the dean of the graduate school. He started the PhD program. He was a writer. He actually was the book editor for Christianity Today. And my brother and I actually had a similar impact on Wheaton when we got kicked out of Vacation Bible School. The first week we showed up, I mean, it's like, wow, that's the new dean? His kids are already kicked out of Vacation Bible School? But we held down the fort. And so basically, Dad, he spoke 9 languages. 2 extras were ancient languages, so you don't speak those. You just read those, apparently. But that's ancient Greek and ancient Hebrew. And you probably have seen him a lot with his Greek New Testament that he took everywhere. And I luckily, Laurel saved it for me, and so we have a copy of that. But what you might not know is some of the things that my dad collected. He among books and stamps, and he was really esoteric in a lot of ways. Sorry, Pops. But these things were like really niche-y. So he collected First World War Austrian cancellation stamps where they would cancel but he knew all about it and spent a lot of time on that. But later he got into weirder things like lawnmowers. I'm like, Dad, you can't just collect lawnmowers. Do you guys remember he had like 30 lawnmowers? I'm like, what do you do with these things? They're like push lawnmowers. Remember out at your place? So anyway, I remember when my daughter and I first came, she was little, we came to see Dad for the first time, and he was so excited. He picked us up and he goes, I got the best thing for you guys. I'm like, okay, great, let's do this. So he takes us to his 2 most favorite places. One was where he got his mulch from. He just drives us over there. I'm like, this is it? The mulch? So, but he's very proud of that. And the dump. So we go to the dump. I'm like, my daughter's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Not a theme park or anything. It was just the dump. But he was, he collected motorcycles, and he was into British bikes. He had Matchless, Thunderbird, Nortons, triumphs, and he was just as comfortable with, you know, the motorcycle people as the theologians. He'd be out there working on something, and, you know, a college student would come up and ask about some kind of Heidegger or some being in time or something. And then some guy like Mad Roy would show up from the motorcycle gang and ask him about carburetors and stuff. And he's like, yeah, here's what you got to do, you know. So he was, as you know, always like that. He was into interesting, weird, different things. And that was one of the things that made him so special. And he actually had a brother, Jim, who was brilliant as well. He was literally a rocket scientist. And a sister, Trish, who is still living and really smart in her own right. But she said of him that, you know, she said, my brother was a kind and generous man, you know. And I think at the end of the day, with all the accolades and theologies and degree and everything else, I think that's really what matters. And I'm going to miss my dad.